This is Deborah Johnson for Women at Halftime, and I'm passionate about helping women use their untapped skills, resources, and talents to create their ideal work and lifestyle, making a difference in their second half. Well, hello, Deborah Johnson here for the Women at Halftime podcast. I am so excited to be here with you today with a wonderful message of the challenge of technology. Make it simple. And I'm laughing right now because right outside my office are the crows have made their entrance. And if you hear a little bit of squawking in the background, you might hear about 20 crows all of a sudden that decided to make themselves known in the tree right around me. And when we deal with technology, we have to deal with interruptions. And it's so funny. Pretty much everything's happened to me, but it's just funny that today I am recording this particular show, the episode, and that the crows just made their entrance. It was just so noisy. So, but anyway, we will have fun. To remind you, the summit is out, the book. It's an allegory, which is a story within a story. Please look it up on Amazon. I would love you to have a copy. I'm really proud of it. It's really fun. HeroMountainSummit.com. You can find a little information there, but also about the 5-month program. I only open it up twice a year. I don't do a lot of private coaching, but it is a program I make available even for small companies. You can get some CE credits through it, but it's a 5-month kind of accountability program, and it gives a lot of other material. So today, our subject, the challenge of technology. Some of you are probably shaking in your boots already, just thinking about technology because it can be challenging. And with that challenge of technology, the phrase I hear most often is, I'm not good at tech. Well, this is a mindset. It's not easily overcome because technology, it can be frustrating and a time sucker. And I know this well. And even some of the most tech experienced people, they realize that anything can go wrong. As an illustration, I was recently interviewed for a podcast, and the producer contacted me with the news that he couldn't find the recording of our episode anywhere. And this had never happened to him with over 200 episodes to date. But the recording had seemingly just disappeared in the cloud. It's an awful feeling. Now, my response to him was to offer to redo the interview if they were willing to reschedule it on their end. And what I appreciated about this producer was his honesty, because tech issues, they just happen. And anyone who's had a background in the recording arts of any type or any type of public performance is especially aware of this. And in today's world, the challenge of technology has become even greater with the addition of virtual events, live streaming, online course creation, and social media. Now, the good news is that there are ways to simplify your tech, but the harder news is that tech will keep growing exponentially, and they'll double. And we'll focus on a few main principles here, and it will be your goals, and also adding one small thing at a time, and then simplicity. So your technology, it should align with your goals. Now, this is important because a lot of people want to do these amazing things, but it might not fit in really to where they're going. You may not need all of those amazing things to accomplish what you want to accomplish. Now, even in writing, you might be writing longhand with a pencil and paper, or you're using a simple word processor, and that'll be enough to achieve all of your goals. And that's a valid method. And in fact, that might be where you should stay. However, if Henry Ford had just focused on faster horses when he imagined what people wanted, we might not have had the automobile. So the use of technology, it should enhance your life and business, not complicate it and stymie it. And it's not to say there won't be challenges, because there will, as long as there is a new innovation. But when you add any tech tool, there should be a purpose for it. And I can use a simple illustration of a Breville electric citrus press. I'm not bringing it to show you on the video here, but it's heavy. But for years, I used a small electric juicer for juicing grapefruit, oranges, and lemons on our property. We have a lot of them. And it's still working wonderfully, and there's nothing wrong with it. However, with the increased amount of citrus and the desire to freeze large containers of the sweet juice, we purchased the larger commercial juicer. And it's not only simplified the process, but it's increased productivity. So this is a way I have used this technology, that principle, to simplify my life, not just complicate it. So that you really have to realize that will make such a difference for you if you do abide by that principle. So going back to your goals, make sure it is aligned with what your goals are, and you're not making it so hard for yourself that you can't even do your basic work. Again, that technology, we want to make it as simple as possible, but aligned with your goals. So let's kind of move on from here. And we're going to use this juicing principle to increase your productivity. And even if you never plan to juice a lemon or grapefruit, the juicing principle, it can apply to you. What you're using now may be fine as far as using technology, but until you need more. A phone call was fine until you couldn't see or meet family members who were isolated, or business groups for important meetings during the COVID lockdowns. And those who never thought they could use technology, all of a sudden they became proficient on Zoom, and it increased the ability to communicate and even do business. So when considering a new piece of software, equipment, or even a membership opportunity for a tech tool, consider first what you're presently using or doing. And with the juicing principle, we were already juicing citrus with a juicer, and the Breville commercial juicer enhanced that process. Now, in each of these episodes and each of these shows, I do write an article. So make sure you click in onto that, because I plan to put plenty of links in this article so you can go directly to some of the tools that I'm going to describe, or even the juicer that I describe. So make sure that you grab all of the resources that you can, because I really try to help you. This is not just self-promotion. This is to help you. Most computers already have a microphone for recording. So adding the Blue Yeti with a USB connection, it creates a clearer and enhanced sound for Zoom sessions. And I use this a lot. And most computers also have a camera, but a pro webcam camera, such as the Logitech, it greatly enhances visuals for online engagements. And you can see more of my resources on my resource page. And I've put the link to that as well in the article that you'll see. Now, when to add more tech resources? When do you do it? Well, there's an increased challenge of technology when you add to your tech tools. Everyone knows this. And it's when it's time to reevaluate your goals. And one of my personal goals was to create webinars and simple online courses without a lot of video editing. As video editing takes a lot of time and focus, I wanted to focus more on content and presentation. And actually, I am even doing that right now. I am working on a small online course that I can add to one of my musicals to help promote it. It's a musical based on the Russian Revolution and Nicholas and Alexandra. And it's a musical that takes the facts and kind of fictionalizes part of it. So I wanted to put together actually a historical small course that schools and colleges and organizations could easily access to make sure they really knew what the actual history was, which is very much in alignment of what I wrote in the actual musical. So putting this together, I'm using some new tech tools so I don't have to do a whole lot of editing. So it's going to enhance what I do. And that's a very, very important principle for anything that you add, and that so you'll actually use the tech tool. And now this solution for my business, it was to add a switcher for camera shots that could switch back and forth, which I will use, between graphics with the press of a button. And if you have a video team and you're in a TV studio, well, you can have your camera crew do all of this. But that's not always financially feasible for most solopreneurs and artists. We do much of this work ourselves, especially the tech work. So my challenge of technology came with the number and type of connections needed to work with the particular switcher I purchased, a Blackmagic ATEM Mini. And again, I'll put that link in there. And it only used the HDMI connections. Now, before turning me off, because you have no desire to do this, I want to share an important principle here that should apply to you. This purchase fit within my goals. And this should be the question you should ask first. Next, I was committed to do everything I needed to do to make this equipment work. I really wanted it to work. I knew it would make my life easier. But there are many that give up or never even try to begin with. And you have to be willing to venture out and not quit with what aligns to your goals. And that is a commitment to not quit. You may never have any desire to explore the amount of technology I use, but whatever you decide to do, you have to make that mental commitment just to not quit. There's usually always a solution. Well, there are some things that I had to deal with in dealing with my switcher, and I'll share a little bit more of those, but those connections were different than what I was using on some of my other equipment. And even my camera that I liked to use, it didn't have that HDMI connection. You had a USB, and there was no way I could easily connect all of that together. So as is the case, even in, we can use those illustrations, and even in home remodeling, once you start remodeling one area, guess what? You're going to feel like you have to remodel another area. Well, I had to do the same thing for the switcher. I had to add some more equipment to be able to go all together. But it was my commitment not to quit until I could get it working together that made that possible. And it's even made it possible for me recording some of my podcasts and using just a simple graphic and being able to do all of these episodes and video them live with a little bit more of an emphasis on being able to use that switcher and even a prompter at some point. So it helped me to be able to do my job better. And that's really important as we ask that question and we think about the challenges of technology. So, and there's that commitment again, just not to quit. And another example, there's a music notation program called Finale. And after hand scoring many charts, I was left with those black fingers from calligraphy pens. And I worked all the way through graduate school with this. And Finale was a welcome tool. And I've been using it since the very first version came out, believe it or not, in it was about 1990 that I started. And you'd think I'd be super proficient on the software, and I am to an extent, even scoring some musicals for major publishers. But when I don't work on the program for a period of time, it's extremely valuable for me to keep good tech notes for when I use it again. All it takes is for getting one small setting in a program to make a particular feature not work. And this can eat up literally hours of your time. And I say this from experience. And when you think, oh, I'll remember that, think again. You probably won't. So creating some sort of file with good notes or cues for particular programs or software, it'll be a lifesaver. And it'll help keep your frustration level to a minimum and greatly increase your productivity. And also realize there's usually always a YouTube video available to help you through many of those tech issues. And some of those videos have really helped me, though some of the challenges I've faced, we used to have to wade through these large manuals that were written by a person with English as their second language. I was sure of that. And it was especially true with music instrument manuals. Any of you who have been in that field understand perfectly what I'm talking about. All right, well, let's kind of move on here I'm going to add another little part here that I feel is very, very valuable in that challenge of technology in making it simple. You might not feel those words go together, but you want to make it as simple as possible. And they can be. They can be used in the same sentence, believe it or not. So if you go back to your main goals, simplify them to the basics. Then when you add any technology tool, add one very small item at a time. I really encourage this. And by adding just one small thing, you won't be completely overwhelmed. And you can build from there. And something I've noticed is that small memberships, they can be membership poor and technology poor. And Jim Heatbrink, a very successful businessman developer that I interviewed for my very first book, Stuck is Not a Four-Letter Word, he gave 3 principles for business. And one of those was to watch the cash. So that'll help you in deciding what to add, actually. So evaluate your monthly membership dues every single year. And most of this may be based on tech tools. Most every online program now has a monthly SaaS fee, subscription as a service. And so evaluate what you really, really need. And adding technology equipment, it carries the same principle. You don't need every new tech gadget. Now see what's possible to use, maybe even in a new way. Now I have worked with studios and with music producers for a number of years. And it is kind of a little joke that you wanted to add something. Oh, I got this new microphone. Oh, I got this new. And if they're using it often, that's wonderful. That's great. But as solopreneurs, we tend to go after, there's a new online program that's going to make my life easier, but am I really going to use it a lot? So I really evaluate it. And a lot of these programs now, they do have trial versions. Sign up for those. Even if you're on a new mailing list, you can always unsubscribe. Most of them you should be able to. But try it out. And I really, really encourage this. Don't be afraid to try it out. But hesitate before you totally subscribe. Now, there are a couple things I subscribed to right away because I knew the value. Right away, I knew the value of it because I had been doing it a different way. It's almost like that juicer that I bought. I knew the value. I read the reviews. I really studied it. Same thing happened when I added the my stationary bike. I went through every single one and really looked at it carefully. All of the reviews, all of the repair issues, all of that. So I think all of that will help you out in this. It's worth spending that time. I just reevaluated. It used to be called Video Blocks. Now it's called Story Blocks. I use so much video. And I was reevaluating, is this worth me having my yearly subscription? And I decided, yes, it still is. I'm still using some of that, even though another program I'm using will use some of that same video, but I'm still downloading for different songs I'm putting out. And I have that sort of, it doesn't give you every option there is for video, but it gives me a lot of options. And so I'm able to add life to what those songs are. So again, if you are adding any sort of technology equipment or program, you want to evaluate. You don't need every new little tech gadget. See what's possible to use in what you have now in a new or expanded way. So I was able to put my Yeti Blue mic on a shock mount, and you can look that up. I'll put the link in, that fit on a boom stand. I already own the boom stands, but for more portable recording options, and it's worked extremely well for what I needed. So don't be overwhelmed with this challenge. Revisit those goals and add one small thing at a time, whether software or equipment. Take good notes, please. Take good notes. And then simplify your process as much as possible so you can spend more time doing what you absolutely love to do and you feel called to do. I want to spend my time creating great content and be able to be even in front of a camera more, be able to have a larger impact. And I don't want to be stymied by those little things that are just going to hold me back. And I am a techie. I readily admit that I spend a lot of time, and I have for years. I'm not afraid of it. But I have also spent a lot of time figuring out what particular little button I did not push. I mean, hours of time that can be extremely frustrating. But I have learned again how important it is to take those notes. And so I hope this really helps you. I hope it encourages you. Look up my resource page and really don't hesitate to try something new. You can always contact me at any time. And I'm happy to get back to you. You can find me on social media. Sometimes that's the best place to get me, at my Deborah.Johnson on Facebook or my LinkedIn, Deborah J. Johnson. But of course, womenathalftime.com, goalsforyourlife.com, Deborah Johnson Speaker, all of those. And listen and share this other people so they can enjoy some of these shows and these episodes. Next week, I am so excited. Next week, we have an interview. I have an interview with Karen Knotts, and she is Knootts with Don Knotts, her dad, and her new book, Tied Up in Knots. And I know Karen, we've been a part of arts conferences together. She's delightful. She's extremely funny. And she has a comedy little show and really gives a great background on what she learned from her father, who had been in the entertainment business for so many years. So I hope you join me then next week. And again, listen, follow, and I hope to be back with you, that you are back with me too next week for the Women at Halftime podcast. And thanks again for joining me. And Deborah Johnson signing off. Bye for now.
Thank you for joining us on Women at Halftime. Visit goalsforyourlife.com or womenathalftime.com for many more resources, downloads, and programs, or to get in touch with me. I'd love it if you leave me a review and tell your friends. So until next time, this is Deborah Johnson signing off.